Okay. Good morning. It being 10 a.m. on the 3rd of March of 2026 in the town of Richmond, Vermont, I call this 231st annual town meeting to order. Would you all please stand as the Scouts of America from Troop 23 present the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you please join me in a moment of silence to honor those who have served and are currently serving in the armed forces to protect the freedoms that we have today. Thank you. You may be seated. Could I have the roaming microphone? Is that kicking around here somewhere? That one there. Okay. Folks, it's my distinct honor today, being asked by the family to present this special town report dedicated to Francis Churchill. Since Molly is currently out of town attending to the needs of a family member, I would ask Francis's brother Nigel to please come forward to accept this on the family's behalf. Francis grew up here in Richmond attending all of our schools and was a tireless volunteer in the community, serving on numerous town committees, including vice chair of the Board of Civil Authority. He could be found around town coaching rec sports, teaching skiing at Cochrane's, maintaining trails, and serving on the Bolton Valley Ski Patrol for many years. Molly gave us some words today that I'd like to read regarding Francis's time in town. Francis's favorite day of the year was the first snowstorm, followed closely by his second, which was town meeting. He loved working elections, seeing and chatting with his neighbors, lifelong friends, and new friends. He loved seeing democracy in action, being a part of making sure elections were open, accessible, and secure. He gave back to the town of Richmond in so many ways because he loved our town. He knew Richmond provided an amazing place for him to grow up, surrounded by beautiful mountains and rivers, and most importantly, people who looked out for him. His daughters had the same experience growing up here. Francis knew that a strong community like Richmond doesn't happen by accident. It takes a community members stepping up to help out, serve on committees, coach rec sports, maintain trails, and pick up litter. And doing these things connected him to so many people, and that's where the joy was for Francis, connection through action. So it is my privilege in which to present this official town report with the seal and his name tag to his brother Nigel. Nigel? Right. Thank you. Suck it in, folks. Thank you. Oh, I forgot my script. Okay. If we have any first-time voters joining us today, would you please stand and be recognized? Any first-time voters? No first-time voters. Okay, well, perhaps they'll be coming through the polls later today. Okay, some house rules: no food nor drink in the gymnasium, and please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate so that they don't bother us. Non-voters may not speak except by suspension of the rules, which requires a 2/3 vote in the affirmative. This may include town employees or non-residents in attendance that may have some expertise. I will try to anticipate this by asking for common consent, such as, unless there is an objection, person X will be allowed to speak. Now, I would like to go over some procedures that have been historically used, but bear repeating so that we're all on the same page. The meeting will be conducted using Robert's Rules of Order, except where superseded by Vermont state law. All remarks or motions should be directed to me, the moderator, and remarks are to be confined to the merits of the question. I'll repeat, the remarks are to be confined to the merits of the question. If I sense a drift away from the question, I will gently, or perhaps firmly, guide the speaker back to the question. All motions and amendments are to be made in the affirmative such that clarity is assured. Non-voters may not vote by voice or any other means. If this becomes a problem, some sort of segregation will need to take place such that their voice cannot be part of our deliberation. Methods of voting. Voting on an article can be first by voice vote, then if necessary by division of the House, either by hand or by standing, and at any time a member can call for this division of the House. The third way is paper ballot. Per the state law, Title 17, paragraph 2658, paper ballot can be requested at any time we wish, providing 7 voters call for such a ballot. All articles can be amended, and the amendment may be amended once. I would ask the maker of any amendment to present it in writing such that it can be read to the assembled. Again, please make sure that any amendments are in the affirmative in such a way that they are clear and succinct. Also, ensure any amendments are germane to the original article. It can't substantially change the intent. An amendment must be reasonable to achieve the purpose of the warned article. There is no revote or reconsideration on an article once we have declared the vote and the next article is announced. State law prohibits a town from reconsidering an article once voted and the assembly has begun work on another article. Now, a word on Australian balloted items, and there's a number of them in our warning. Changes in state law in 2008 allows discussion of warrant articles at town meetings, with the exception of voting on town or school officials. So, a little bit more on that. As this precedent has been set, The voters have the right to ask for this discussion on an Australian balloted item. Not the select board, not the moderator. I would ask for a motion to discuss a certain article. We can have the discussion, then I can entertain a motion to cease discussion. With this process, you folks are making the choice whether or not to discuss the article. And again, that's on Australian balloted items. Okay, when the moderator recognizes you, please stand and state your name for the minutes. We will have one microphone roaming around, and I am today, due to the anticipated number of people that might want to speak on a certain article, I have installed a microphone up here, and I would ask folks to queue up at that microphone such that I don't have to figure out who raised their hand first, going from the bleachers down to here and so on. So we'll have folks queue up at the microphone. The maker of the motion has a right to speak first, and then citizens have the opportunity to speak once on the subject, and after everyone has spoken once, a citizen that wishes to speak a second time can do that, but only twice on an article. Robert's Rules does provide a time limit on a speaker, and if there is no objection, we will limit the speaker to 5 minutes. If needed, I'll remind the speaker of the elapsed time. Now, also, Robert's Rules also restricts the reading of printed material and prioritizes conversational, germane debate over the reading of a prepared script. Procedures. There has been some questions about the procedure of postponing indefinitely, and I want to give a few words on that. This is sometimes referred as tabling or to pass over, but the proper term is to postpone indefinitely. If someone rises and wishes to make a motion to postpone indefinitely, it does require a second. And the merits of the question are debatable, so we can debate the merits of the question. Once you have made a motion in which to postpone indefinitely, that is not amendable. It only can be applied to the main motion. And it gets a little tricky, but I'll help you follow that through if we get to that point. It requires a majority in which to postpone indefinitely. If the results of the article are in favor of postponing indefinitely, that essentially kills the bill or kills the motion at that, or the article at that time. But it could be added to a future town meeting if the select board chose to do so. If the results fail to postpone indefinitely, we return to the main article. Another procedure, calling the question or ceasing debate. Traditionally here in the town of Richmond, we allow the courtesy that all who wish to speak once get to do so. If you want to call the question, you must be recognized by me in which to speak. You just can't shout it out. You have to be recognized in which to speak. All discussion at that point in time must cease, and it requires a 2/3 majority in which to uphold ceasing discussion. And I may have to divide the House for counting purposes. And under the last article, termed Other Business, this is where resolutions and other non-binding articles can be discussed. If you have such a resolution or want to discuss something there, please put that down in writing, and I can read it to the assembled at that point in time. And before I hand it over to the town clerk in which to read the warning, I'll end with this a few lines anyways from our beloved Francis Churchill's obituary. Please remember Francis through caring for your community in outdoor spaces. Talk and listen to your neighbors. Pick up litter, annihilate knotweed, put a smile on someone's face. Do all that you can to rejoice in the good in this world, because it's there. And Francis knew that. At this point in time, I'll hand it over to Suzanne, who will read the warning.
Official warning, annual town meeting, March 3rd, 2026, Richmond, Vermont. The legal voters of the Town of Richmond, Vermont are hereby notified and warned to meet at Camels Hump Middle School in said town on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 10 a.m. to transact business on the following articles not involving voting by Australian ballot, being Articles 1 through 4. The legal voters of the Town of Richmond, Vermont, and the legal voters of the Mount Mansfield Unified Union School District residing in said Town of Richmond are further warned and notified to meet at Camels Hump Middle School in said town on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 7 in the forenoon a.m., at which time the polls will open until 7 in the afternoon, at which time the polls will close to vote on the following articles by Australian ballot, being Articles 5 through 18. By floor vote, Article 1, to hear reports of the town officers. Article 2, shall the Town of Richmond continue to fund 4th of July fireworks through a line item in the town budget, advisory, non-binding article. Article 3, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond adopt the following pledge? We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people, and we oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation. Article 4, to transact any other business that may legally come before the town meeting. By Australian ballot, Article 5, to elect school and town officers for terms posted on the ballot. Article 6, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve a budget of $5,955,969 to meet the expenses and liabilities of the Town of Richmond in fiscal year 2027. Article 7, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond, as required under 24 VSA 4385, adopt the 2026 Richmond Town Plan. Article 8, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve funding the Conservation Reserve Fund by adding 1 cent to the municipal tax rate in fiscal year 2027. Article 9, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve funding the Town Center Reserve Fund by adding 1 cent to the municipal tax rate in fiscal year 2027. Article 10, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $500 to Vermont Family Network to be raised by taxes to provide support to Richmond families with children with special needs, such amount being reasonably necessary for support thereof. Article 11, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $3,500 to AgeWell to be raised by taxes to provide support and guidance to town residents aged 60 years and older, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof. Article 12, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $375 to the Vermont Center for Independent Living to be raised by taxes for providing services to enhance the lives of town residents with disabilities, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof. Article 13, Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $1,000 to the Committee on Temporary Shelter to be raised by taxes to provide emergency shelter services and housing for town residents who are homeless or marginally housed, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof? Article 14. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $6,000 to our Community Cares Camp to be raised by taxes to provide enrichment and food services to children, internship opportunities for youth, job training, and development for young adults for town residents, such amount being reasonably necessary for support thereof? Article 15. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $1,500 to Step to End Domestic Violence to be raised by taxes for assisting town residents who have been affected physically, sexually, emotionally, or economically by domestic abuse in the transition to a safe, independent life, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof? Article 16. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $5,000 to Turning Point Center of Chittenden County to be raised by taxes to provide to town residents an inclusive, compassionate community supporting those on multiple paths to recovery through peer-driven services in a safe, substance-free environment, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof? Article 17. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $1,885 to HopeWorks to be raised by taxes for their work to end all forms of sexual violence to town residents, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof? Article 18. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve appropriating $2,000 to Howard Center Incorporated to be raised by taxes for their work to help town residents thrive by providing supports and services to address mental health, substance use, and developmental needs, such amount being reasonably necessary for the support thereof? The legal voters of the Town of Richmond are further notified that voter qualification, registration, and absentee voting relative to said annual meeting shall be as provided in chapters 43, 51, and 55 of Title 17 Vermont statutes annotated.
Thank you. Article 1, to hear the reports of the town officers. What is your pleasure in Article 1? It needs to be moved onto the floor. Is there a motion for, please stand and state your name. So moved. Is there a second? Please state your name.
James Pulaski, second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Article 1, to hear the reports of the town officers. This is typically when, if someone has a question about the town report or something in it, this would be a time in which to ask that question to get any clarification. So I would open that up for any discussion at all. Any discussion on Article 1? Any questions about the reports? Yes, please. If you could bring that back into the center, I'd appreciate that. That's perfect, thank you.
It is attached despite no cord. Okay. Good morning. I'd like to commend the Select Board and town officers for a job well done this last year. Quick question on the report.
Could you please state?
My name is Chris Granda. And just a quick question about the report. It looks like not all members of the Select Board have signed it. Can you please let us know the reason for that?
Thank you.
Chris, was that the report or the town meeting warning?
Chris, are you talking about the warning itself? Yes. the town warning. Go ahead.
That's just because it was only 3 members in attendance at the meeting that evening, so those 3 in attendance signed it after they voted to approve it. The other 2 were not in attendance at the meeting.
Any other questions on the town report or anything contained in it? Okay. Seeing none, we'll practice here, folks. All those in favor of approving the town report, so signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Article 1 is passed. Article 2, shall the town of Richmond continue to fund 4th of July fireworks through a line item in the town budget? Parentheses, this is advisory and non-binding. What is your pleasure with Article 2? It needs to be moved to the floor for discussion. Marie Thomas, so moved. Is there a second? Second. Is moved and seconded. Article 2, shall the town of Richmond continue to fund the 4th of July fireworks through a line item in the town budget? Advisory, non-binding article. The floor is now open for discussion, and I'm assuming the select board would like to get a sense of what the community would like to do here. So this is your chance in which to ask questions regarding that, for or against. Any discussion on Article 2? Yes, there's a microphone headed for you.
Hi, my name's Tom Carpenter. I'd like to know how we got this far, that this question is up for debate and not a regular line item like it has been.
Would someone like to answer that from the select board, or?
So if we go back a few years, this was fully funded by the 4th of July Committee through fundraising. I think 4 or 5 years ago that changed. The select board put some money into the line item of the budget to fund the fireworks. This year the question came up where the cost of the fireworks went from $15,000 last year to $22,000 this year. Some of that increase was because the company we contract with had been purchased by a national company. There was resulting tariffs, and there was some high demand for fireworks on the 250th anniversary of the founding of the USA. So the select board discussed, should that be a line item in the budget, or should that be a question to the voters as a separate agenda or a separate item to be voted on at town meeting? For this year, for FY27, there is $15,000 in the budget, with the plan to use $7,000 from the Parade and Firework Committee Reserve Fund to fully fund the $22,000 in fireworks. So this question is more advisory to the select board of, do you want to continue to include this in the regular budget, or would the voters like to see this as a separately voted on item for fireworks?
Thank you. Any other questions? First time around, Article 2. There's a question here in front, the microphone right here in the front of the bleachers. Front row of the bleachers.
Hi, Jeff Forward. I just have a logistical question. So this is not a question about whether or not to have 4th of July fireworks. It's whether or not to have it in the budget or as a separate item. Is that correct?
I'm sensing that's correct, but someone can speak to that.
What's that?
Wasn't the whole of the budget this year? Okay. The discussion. Everyone's saying yes, but my understanding was that we are not locked in to paying North Star. So if this doesn't pass, we either have to come up with an alternative funding source, or we have to choose to not fund it.
Well, so that would be, so it's in the budget for this year. So if the budget passes, then we're good. Then we'll have fireworks. We'll use $7,000 out of the reserve fund for fireworks for this 4th of July. The question is being voted on right now from the floor is, do you want to continue in that vein for FY28 where we just include it in the budget, or would you like it to be a separately voted article in FY28? If it goes to a separately voted article for FY28, then this time next year everybody would vote on fireworks, and if that passes, there's fireworks. If it doesn't pass, there's not fireworks. But for this year, for 27, well, for 4th of July 2026, assuming the full budget passes, there will be fireworks. Does that make sense? So this is for future years. how would you like to vote on fireworks for FY '28 and beyond? Hopefully that explained it.
Okay, I guess that's not how I understood this during
Adam,
our
if you could
discussions.
bring that microphone a little closer to you.
That wasn't my understanding of this during all our discussions. It was my impression that we would, if this didn't pass, we would not pull the money into the reserve this year, and we would back out, because we had discussions about not having to pay North Star if this didn't pass.
So
Was I confusing the budget with this item? Is that?
So we had a few different discussions on it at a few different select board meetings. At one point, we talked about putting it as a separate article,
Okay.
but then the board decided, well, we'll put $15,000 in the budget, which you can see on page 23. About midway down, there is 4th of July fireworks. So there's $15,000 in the budget that's being voted on by Australian ballot today. So assuming that full budget passes, we have $15,000 for fireworks, and the discussion was to use $7,000 out of the reserve fund for fireworks this July. So this question is, going forward, after this budget year, would you like to continue to do that through the budget, or would the voters like to have a separate article where voters can say yes or no to fireworks? And then in that year, if it's voted on that way, if it's a no vote, then there's no fireworks, even if the budget passes. But for this year, it's included in the budget. Does that clarify it?
It does. It
Okay.
shows how many iterations we went through this. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, we talked about it about 5 or 6 times and changed our minds a few times.
Just to make it even more confusing, the 4th of July fireworks are 4 days into the fiscal year, so that influenced the discussion as well.
Any other questions on Article 2? Yes, here in the middle.
He answered my
You can use this microphone up here.
I'd just like to clarify how we're
Could you
voting.
state your
My
name,
name is Patty
please?
Brushett,
Thank you.
and I just am curious, if I want to vote like all of our financial things on Australian ballots so that everybody gets to vote on financial stuff, how would I vote on this, yes or no?
That's a good question. Can the select board provide some clarity to that? Or Josh?
So there would be two, there's this year and then at future years if this passes, right? So this year, a vote yes for the town budget would be a vote for fireworks, among other items.
For this July?
For this coming July, which
Yeah.
is in 2026, but is in FY 2027, which is
Right, but so we're talking about
next year.
2027's fireworks budget. And so my question is, if I would rather vote on that Australian ballot with all the other financial stuff for 2027, how would I vote right now? Because I'm not clear. It's just very confusing to me. How would you vote on that?
There is no clear answer to that. There's no obvious yes or no, but if you were to vote no on this, we would not make it a line item in the budget. So it would be, the options would be to not have fireworks or to vote on it separately from the budget. So a no vote in Article 2 would force us to reconsider how we approve the fireworks, which would possibly lead to us putting it as a separate item on town meeting. Is that? No. Patty, I can see why you're confused.
It seems like you guys are confused. So
Let's review.
I would like to tell you that I would like to vote for this the way we vote for stuff on Australian ballot. And
So-
I'm just trying to understand how I should vote on this in order to get to that place.
I will only point that the parenthetical clause is advisory, non-binding article. So whatever you say or vote today is advisory and non-binding to this select board. So my perspective is, we'd like to hear from you what your preference is to not fund it, to fund it as part of the budget, or to fund it, as you suggested, Patty, in a separate Australian ballot item. But it's advisory, non-binding. So for me, at least, the discussion is perhaps more or as important as the actual vote. And it may be surprising to some of us, or some of you, who are fans of July 4th and the fireworks, that there are people in town who are not fans of the fireworks on July 4th. So that is one of the things that got us here for a discussion, if that's helpful.
Thank you. More questions here in the rear.
Jean Ann Haskin. So I want to say I'm a fan of fireworks. I love the fireworks, and I love that Richmond has the fireworks. And I don't care if there's a line item in the budget or not for the fireworks. What I kind of was concerned with is the cost of the fireworks and the fact that maybe North Star was the only place that we could get the fireworks. And I was on a select board meeting where it appeared that there was an option to either cut back on the amount of fireworks and keep the budget amount the same, or to increase the budget and continue to have, some grand display. I personally would have been in favor of keeping the budget as it was and cutting back on the fireworks. Still would have been a fun display. We still would have all gotten to enjoy the fireworks, but not adding extra money to the budget. So I would like to see Richmond continue with fireworks, but I also don't want the cost to continue to rise and rise and rise like everything else. So I don't know how to prevent that, or maybe making it as a separate line item on the ballot next year might be the best way to go. Have a dollar amount and people can say yay or nay, they want to spend that kind of money. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. Right here.
Sue Poshop. I'm wondering if anyone is here from the Fireworks Committee that can tell us how much money has been raised in the past through fundraising?
Sure.
And just kind of give us an idea if that will continue to be raised?
Yes, I think we have someone in the back that is on the Fireworks Committee. Would you stand up and grab the microphone? Right. There you go.
Sue Glennon, Chair of the Richmond Fireworks and Parade Committee. For 38 years, we did this with not a penny from the town. We sold everything we possibly could, did auctions and things like that. COVID hit, we canceled one year, canceled another year. Celebrate Richmond was nice enough to put on a celebration. With that said, we had $10,000 that we had already paid for fireworks. We had them shoot off for the town celebration. Now we're back to, we turned over $20,000 to the town of Richmond of supplies that we had and equipment. I wrote a check for $3,500 that closed out all of our accounts. We were our own entity. And 3 years ago, we went and said, June Heston said, I went in front of them to say we were going to rescind the fireworks. Parade and Fireworks Committee, we couldn't do it. And somebody said, you can't do that. Everybody's going to be mad at us. Yeah. So, therefore, if you have any questions, I think I covered them all. So naturally, I would like it to continue. And the reason we can't downsize the amount is because if we do, they won't guarantee us that it'll be on the 4th of July. It could be a week later, and they couldn't guarantee that. This is the first year we're working with the new company. So we want to investigate other options.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Here in the, right here in the aisle, please, yes.
At the risk of making people mad,
Please state your name.
Oh, my name is June Heston.
Thank you.
I've just been mentioned. I would like to just recommend that if this moves forward, that we consider other options such as drone shows that are veteran-friendly and environmentally friendly and dog-friendly, and potentially less expensive than fireworks that are a one-time shot.
Thank you. Did I see a hand up over here? Yes. First row of the bleachers.
Hi, Marie Thomas. The 4th of July is the best party of the year that Richmond throws. But because of our insistence of always having it on the 4th of July, we end up attracting people from a lot of other towns that come here because they know that we have the best party. And I think that June's idea about the drone show is great because I am not a fan of fireworks, but I don't want to deprive other people of that because people seem to love it. But I lived with a Vietnam vet for so long that I became sensitive to fireworks myself, and having dogs, it's not a good thing. But it used to be, back in the day, that the 4th of July was self-funding. I mean, they had the French fry wagon, and they sold a lot of stuff, just like Sue said. And, you know, had the coin drop. All those things were good things, but they were able to be self-sustaining. And because, you know, I don't know if they don't have enough volunteers or what happens, it's not that way. And I think that, in my heart, I think it's very important that we, as a community, really try to revive the sense of volunteerism that really makes a community good and not just depend upon the government to fund everything. I also think we need to find a way to get people who come to the town to watch it to help fund that. So people who are coming and enjoying it from out of town, there might, you know, a donation bucket, I don't know, whatever we do to do that. But I know it's tried to be some revivals over the years of trying to get people to volunteer. And of course, we've lost the Grange. I don't know if did they do I wasn't here, well, I wasn't able to attend the 4th of July this year due to injuries. But I don't know if the chicken barbecue is happening, but just the whole, volunteerism is the way that we're going to survive as a country. And I really think that there's some way to do that. And I have a resolution to talk about in the last article because life is getting to be unaffordable for so many of us. And I think that it's important for us to continue with the 4th of July. I think there needs to be some way of funding it that's not necessarily in the town budget. Sue, don't get mad at me. I mean, it has to go through some way. So maybe if there's some great people in town with some great ideas for how it can become self-sustaining again, I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Other questions? You queued up at the mic. Go right ahead.
Rebecca Roos. I am on the 4th of July Parade and Fireworks Committee, and we welcome all volunteers, and we welcome all donations. I wanted to talk about drone pricing. 2 years ago, we got a quote for drones. For 100 drones, which is the lowest amount, it's $40,000. So fireworks are more economical. Our goal and mission for this committee is to make the festivities accessible to everyone, no matter what their income is, and have a place where we can all celebrate community. We get donations. Northfield Savings Bank has, this will be their second year in a row that they're sponsoring the fun run and giving us $1,000. We're working on creative ways to look and raise for more money because we don't want this to be more economic burden on the community. We want this to be a free event, like we provide free face painting for the kids, free bouncy houses, just a really fun community event. But again, like I'm sure you are all feeling, there's a lot of squeezing, tariffs, et cetera. So I just wanted to answer the question about the drones and our mission, and feel free to donate and volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions first time around? Yes, right there in the center aisle. Go ahead and stand up. Yep.
Ike Patch. I would prefer that we do not fund fireworks, but if that is going to happen or that's a possibility, please put it in as a line item. I'm against fireworks because it's polluting, it's anxiety provoking for some of us people and for dogs. and it's emblematic of the warfare economy we have here in this country, and I don't think it needs to be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you. Right behind you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Donna Nicat. I'm also on the Parade and Fireworks Committee. I want to say that we...
Can you speak a little bit more to the mic?
Okay.
Closer. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on the Fireworks Committee along with Sue and Tom and Stephanie and several others. We had gone down to North Star and negotiated with them, and they negotiated our price down because they agreed that if we paid by January, February, which was paying in advance for this year's fireworks, what they gave us wasn't a discount money-wise, but they gave us extra fireworks. So we could keep the show smaller, but have more fireworks doing it that way. And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the things that are provided at the fireworks, we do have fundraising. We still do fundraising, and we're the ones that pay for it. We don't charge the kids for the face painting, but we do pay for the face painting. Some of the people that march in the parade, they're paid to march in the parade. We pay for, if we have the Army Band. The 40th Army Band, if they march in our parade, the last time we had them march, it was $1,200 for them to march in the parade. The St. Andrews Drum Corps, if they come in the parade, they charge over $1,000 to march in the parade. We had raised all the money for that. We continue to do the fundraisers. But when the town took over 4 years ago, they decided that we weren't doing fried dough and French fries anymore because it was too much work. And they didn't want to get the volunteers for it. So, I mean, that eliminated a big part of our fundraising. And then, you know, a few other things they decided weren't going to be in there anymore. And those were fundraising. That was money coming in for these fireworks. If we want to raise more money for the fireworks, let's get involved in having some of these things back in the 4th of July that used to bring in profit for the town instead of having outside vendors in here. And I don't know, when we were doing it and we had all of the fundraisers going, a family could go in and they could get hamburgers and hot dogs and French fries, and they could walk out of the 4th of July, you know, with a few kids and maybe pay $20 and they'd eat and they'd have a hot. Now you can't. You go down there and you go to the outside vendors, you're paying $12 or $15 for one plate. That's expensive, but that's not. We try to keep it as cheap as we can. We try to have as much as we can in there for the kids with no charge. We don't want the kids to have to pay anything. We want them to just go down to the Volunteers Green, have a good time, see everything, do everything they can, and enjoy the 4th of July.
Thank you. There was a question up on top of the bleachers. Is it still there? Just pass that up, please, if you would.
You can hear me? Yeah. My first question is...
And your name is?
Oh, sorry. Art Hamlin.
Thank you.
My first question is the name of our park still Volunteers Green?
I believe that to be the case.
I don't get a definite from anybody. You believe it to be. Can someone tell me it is definitely still Volunteers Green? It is.
We got a thumbs up. Yep.
Thank you. In the spirit of its name is how everything was able to function. It was from volunteers who ran around to different, be it Mackenzie's or whatever, to get 5 cases of hot dogs for the price of 2. That was their part of the door, or whatever the case may be. Without the volunteers, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a tax on everyone. The volunteers raised money
from out-of-towners, out-of-staters, people that are never even going to come to the fireworks, at the coin drops and stuff. It was a volunteer donation. They weren't forced to give up the money to pay for the fireworks. I would like to see it continue the way it used to be for 40. I've only been here 43 years, but the changes are saddening to me to see the loss of the volunteerism in fire, in so many areas. Just, you know, coaching the kids in the park. You can't find coaches for the youth stuff. I think that's where the problem lies. People probably just don't have the time, can't afford to volunteer anymore because they got to spend more time meeting their responsibilities or liabilities as far as taxes and that go. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank those who do volunteer.
Yes. Yes, right next door, right there. Yep. Yep.
My name is Louise Spence, and I had the opportunity to meet the owner of North Star a few years back, and we talked about Richmond and the fireworks, and he said Richmond was the only town that ever sent them a thank you note, and that they appreciated that the business through Richmond and North Star.
Thank you. Any other questions for Article 2? There's one there. Yes, go ahead.
I'm Judy Bush, and I'd like to call the question.
Okay, the question has been called. Is there a second? There is a second. All those in favor of calling the question or ceasing debate, so signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Debate has ceased. So we're going to move right to the question. And I'll repeat the question for you. Article 2, shall the town of Richmond continue to fund 4th of July fireworks through a line item in the town budget? This is advisory and non-binding article. All those in favor of voting for Article 2, so signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Do you have a sense? Okay. Thank you very much. Since it's non-binding, I'm not going to do a division of the House unless there's an objection. You guys good? Okay. Article 3, shall the voters of the town of Richmond adopt the following pledge? We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people, and we oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israelis' apartheid regime, settler colonization, and military occupation. What do you wish to do with Article 3? Yes.
My name is Caitlin Novograski. I would like to move to table this motion indefinitely.
You're looking to postpone the motion indefinitely, okay? Do we have a second to that? Can I get a name on that? You have a name for a second? Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and as I indicated in my opening remarks, the motion to postpone indefinitely requires a second, and the merits of the question are debatable. And so we are at that point, folks, in which it is debatable. What's that? Go ahead. It does. It does. Could I ask it to be moved to the floor? That's correct, so we can do that. You okay with that, Caitlin? Okay. So you've moved to the floor, okay, and the second is okay with moving to the floor? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So it has been moved to the floor, it has been seconded, now the merits of the question are debatable. And at this point in time, yes, that is correct. So Caitlin will have that opportunity. Okay. Is that her name, Caitlin? I'm sorry. Okay. I asked the person up there that moved the question, right? Okay. Okay, at this point in time, we are open for debate, and at this point in time, I am going to ask if you desire and wish to speak about this article, that you queue up here in the center in which to have your chance to speak. And Caitlin, you have the opportunity to speak first unless you yield that. You'll yield, okay. Would anyone like to speak to this motion? If so, please stand up and do you have a point of order? Jeff moved it to the floor. Jeff, if you moved to the floor, I got it. Did you move it to the floor?
Yes.
My understanding is it needs to be moved to the floor. The article needs to be moved. That's correct. Okay, let's step back. Let's step back till we do this right. Jeff, would you like to move the motion to the floor?
No, I'd like to move the article to the floor. Article
Excuse
3.
me, would you like to move the article to the floor?
Yes, I would like to move Article
Okay.
3 to the floor.
Very good. And you're okay with that, Caitlin? Very good. And is there a second to that? There's a second. The article is now moved onto the floor.
And the people who put that article forward get to speak first before.
Yeah, you can't hear you, Jeff. Use the mic there.
So do the people who moved the article
Yes, they get to you get to speak first if you desire that.
before it can be tabled? Before it can be?
Correct.
Yes, okay, that's what I.
But now I will. The article is now on the floor, and we have a motion, right, Caitlin, in which to postpone indefinitely. Okay, so that's what we have now moved the article to the floor. It's now on the floor. We can discuss it, and there's been a motion in which to postpone indefinitely, which we can do as well, and there was a second to that, and now we can have the debate. On the merits of the article.
Okay.
Yep, the merits of the article can now be debated, but when we get done this, folks, the vote will be in which to postpone indefinitely. Okay? All right, please queue up at the mic. And I'll remind folks that there's a 5-minute limit on this, so please be succinct. Yes, sir.
Good morning, all. My name is Wafiq Faour. I'm resident of Town of Richmond for 27 years. I am Palestinian American. Here with Richmond Racial Equity Group, we work very hard to collect 5% of registered voters as Vermont Charter and bylaws to put this article to vote. Apartheid is laws. Israel has multi-laws for multi-community, different than United States. United States is constitutional law. In Israel, there is no constitution. There is laws for the Jewish people. There are laws for the Palestinian who are carrying Israeli passport, which discriminated against them according to the Israeli Human Rights Organization, Beit Salem. There is over 66 laws discriminate against our Palestinian citizens, among them my relatives, my family, who carry my last name. There is another laws in the West Bank, which is they have no right to vote. It's under direct military laws, discrimination in water, on housing, in everything. All over. What is discrimination here? Where is the apartheid? It is in education, in healthcare, in housing, in policing and security, and many others. In Gaza is an open jail, open prison, and 72,000 people until now got killed. 1/3 of them are children, 1/3 are women. Here in the United States, it's very important to stand up against racism, and I believe Richmond will reject all kinds of racism. And we talked about it, we're rejecting it here at home and abroad. When we voice our voice, and we call it this subject is local, it's because our own American Air Force here from Vermont, the National Guard, are now over there and in danger.
Please keep your comments to the merits of this question.
On the second one, I said here abroad and here. So we can speak about apartheid here too and end racism here. So I appreciate if you vote for Article 3 because our voice should be heard. Racism should be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Sophie Cassell. I'm a member of Richmond for the past 5-6 years. I'm also a Jewish member of our community, and I support Article 3 and apartheid-free communities. I want us to think about this as far as a think global, act local opportunity. We've just discussed the merits of whether or not we can afford to have fireworks at our community gatherings. I'd like us to think about the fact that according to some mathematical estimates, about $300,000 of the taxes that Richmond residents pay annually to the federal government go to fund the Israeli military. That is not safe for my Jewish relatives. That is not safe for Wafik's Palestinian relatives. That is not safe for global security. And we can do something about that here. I understand that some other Jewish residents in our community are very, very worried about anti-Semitism, as am I. However, this resolution, this Apartheid-Free Communities Pledge, affirms our commitment to solidarity and safety for all people. And like Wafik said, we need to start with that here. We need to understand that the decisions we make at the small scale in our own communities and towns have broader implications to making us a more just and secure society and a more just and secure world. And I'd like to point out that 4 other towns, including Winooski, have adopted the Apartheid-Free Pledge. In Vermont, places all over the country have adopted this pledge. It was put forth by the American Friends Service Committee, which is a Quaker organization. And of those 4 towns that have adopted the pledge in the past years, they continue to work towards safety and solidarity for all people. And we are very clear about where the threat of anti-Semitism is coming from. It is not coming from this pledge. This pledge is just reaffirming our commitment to creating a more safe society where all people are valued and all people are safe. So I encourage everyone to vote yes on Article 3. Thank you.
Thank you. I will remind folks when we get to the vote, it's about postponing indefinitely. Just making sure that you all know that, because that's what's on the floor. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Chi-Chi Barrett. I did prepare a statement, but I'm going to try not to read it.
Thank you,
But I have
Chi-Chi.
to look at it.
Thank you.
I am in favor of Article 3, but only if it is amended so that Palestine and Israel are not singled out. I know that there's injustice and cruelty and racism in every part of the world, but by drawing attention to Israel, I believe that it is placing a target on Jews. I know that that's not the intention of the people who put this forth, but we all know how things work in this world. And if we're not really, really clear, I think we're opening up continued discrimination and racism against Jews who have suffered this for centuries. My cousin lives in Israel, and she every week travels to Tel Aviv to protest the Netanyahu regime. She and her neighbors are not in favor of the government. And so I cannot vote for a resolution that criticizes her for what she's trying to do. It would just be like criticizing Americans now who are fighting for justice and democracy because of what our government is doing. So I think we should speak out against racism everywhere without contributing to that here. And I'm afraid that by voting for this amendment, we're contributing to the very things that we are against. I don't know if it's appropriate to put forth an amendment or if we have to vote on tabling it first.
This is not amendable at this point in time.
It's not amendable.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Please.
Hi, my name is Margaret Riley, and I would like to speak against this article. I do not believe that we as a town should be taking such clear-cut positions on global affairs or even countrywide affairs. I think that the town of Richmond should be a place that is open to people who are Palestinian or Israeli or of any background to live here and feel free to voice their opinions. I know it's an important issue personally for a lot of people here, but I think by taking a position as a town, we would be discriminating against people who may feel differently or may have a different background. And I think that the way to improve the world is by actually letting people who have different opinions be together and live in the same place and get to know each other and share their different opinions. And we really get on a slippery slope by taking a position on one global or political affair. For example, if we were to take this article, should we not also take an article condemning the violence of Hamas on October 7th? There's so many complicated things going on in the Middle East and all over the world right now, and I don't think that the town of Richmond should be taking such strident opinions as a whole on issues like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Hello, Scott Silverstein. I'm a Jewish resident of Richmond, and I'm here to speak in opposition of the article as written. I have worked with one of the sponsors of the article to write an amended wording, and if the article is not tabled, then we will propose that wording. I've seen how the anger over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has divided people and prevented substantial work from being accomplished. And I created a fundraiser called Bread for Peace, which has brought together Zionists and anti-Zionists in the kitchen to be able to talk to each other and work together on something positive. We've raised over $11,000 for two charities, one in Israel, one in Palestine, providing medical relief. And in terms of this article, I oppose it for many reasons, some of which have been stated by previous speakers. I believe that acceptance is more important than understanding, though, and so I want to express that I accept that this article is, that it's meaningful to many people. I cannot understand what it's like to be a Palestinian. I can't understand what it's like to be a person of color, but I can accept that that there are things that I can do to be an ally. And in return, I would ask that those who can't understand why this article is dangerous to Jewish people, why so many people that I've spoken to are not willing to even come up and speak for fear of outing themselves, for fear of being ostracized or harassed due to perception that any support of the people of Israel conflates to being complicit in genocide. a lot of people that I've spoken to have been physically harassed, have had their families torn apart as a result of this. Others have not even been comfortable coming forward, expressing that they're Jewish, not speaking out when there's a holiday that conflicts with a certain event. I want to recognize that there are a lot of voices that are not being heard, and so can we, either by amending this article or by having conversations in the community beyond this day, create a safe space for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Chris Gish. I want to urge you all to please not table the resolution, and let's vote on it and let's pass it for so many reasons, but I guess I'd just start with the factual basis of the resolution. And I can't really say it better than Sophie or Wafiq said, but what the resolution says is that the town of Richmond would take a stand against Israel's military occupation and apartheid regime and settler colonialism. It doesn't say anything about condemning people who live in Israel or people who practice the Jewish faith or anything like that. It's referring to matters of fact that are verified by human rights organizations like Amnesty International and B'Tselem, which is based in Israel, as well as the United Nations. Like these are facts that have been verified for decades and decades. And these are things like, if you live in the West Bank and you're Palestinian, you have a different colored license plate and you can't travel very far. There are 900 plus military checkpoints you have to go through. You can't vote. It's very hard to find a job or housing. And that's to say nothing of the genocide we've seen happening over the last few years in Gaza, or to say nothing of the totally different justice system here. Like if you or I are accused of a crime, we get to go before a judge or jury and expect a fair trial. In Palestine, if you're Israeli and a Jewish person, you have that same civil legal system similar to what we might enjoy here. But if you're Palestinian, you face a military legal system with a 99% conviction rate. It's absurd and it's hard to fathom, and that's the factual basis for this article. And it's maybe easy to feel a little disconnected from that, but that's the reality, and it's a local issue here. As was mentioned before, we're all paying taxes that are going directly to support this military occupation. And in Vermont as a whole, it's over $27 million, I believe, that we're paying last I checked. And I don't make a lot of money. I think a lot of us are feeling squeezed in these times, and this is the first thing we should take a stand on. And I'd also just ground us in the roots of this article. The text of the article comes from the Quakers, and it also has a lot of connections to the similar things that people were doing speaking out against South African apartheid late in the last century. And I remember learning in school about South African apartheid, and my elementary school teachers kind of are teaching us as American children to look back on this time and say, wow, people were so wrong to have this system to divide people racially and have completely unequal rights, and this complicated system to enforce that. And we're witnessing the exact same pattern right now in Palestine under the state of Israel. And I dream of a day where we can learn about that in school and say, wow, this was an unfathomably terrible time, but we learned from that. And locally, we took a stand. And that's what the opportunity we have to do today. And I would urge you all to just take that. And the last thing I'd say is just voting for this resolution, this article, we can do it out of love. And I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that everyone who supports it would stand side by side with their Jewish siblings, their Jewish brothers and sisters, and to stand up for you if you're experiencing any anti-Semitism or anything going on. But that shouldn't prevent us from speaking out against this century-long atrocity that's been happening in Palestine. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ben Novogrodsky. I'm a Jewish resident of Richmond. I'm speaking in support of the motion and against the article. I'm not here to litigate the issue itself. I think it's very clear at this point that people have their opinions, have their information, have their feelings. It's a highly charged and highly nuanced issue. And the question that I return to is, what is this doing to unify us in such a divisive time? And if you know me, I'm not one who's a shy public speaker, but this is very nerve-wracking for me, given my own experiences and the ones that Scott had articulated earlier. There are a lot of Jewish people that have experienced hatred due to association or perceived association with Israel or their government. There are people who are not here that are too fearful to speak for that feared backlash. I look to Burlington as a potential solution where they had an extremely heated and emotional and unproductive debate, in my opinion. And rather than adopting this article, they decided to allocate some money to create sort of a community speaking series. And so rather than taking a generalized statement that reduces a highly nuanced question into a binary focus, I would recommend that the town endorse a dinner series or something like that, where people of varying viewpoints can break bread together, see each other as humans, maybe share in some Middle Eastern food, and have these discussions rather than doing something that alienates a portion of this community. So thank you for taking your time.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm Lisa Corey. I'm encouraging people to vote against this article or to table it. I don't think the proponents of the article or of the resolution, whatever it is, are anti-Semitic. I don't think they intend it to be anti-Semitic. However, there is this common conflation of Jews and Israelis and that they're the same thing, and that Jews support Israel and the Jews are doing things in Israel. That they're the same as American Jews and even Jews in Israel, as we heard from Chi-Chi. And so as much as this noble movement to support the Palestinians in the recent abominations that Israel's committed there, at the same time, anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic incidents have increased. And I don't know if people here who go to the Congregational Church or the Catholic Church or another church realize, but in Vermont, most or maybe all Jewish synagogues have to pay for security and have to upgrade their facilities to be secure. It's around the world, from what I've seen. The other part about this resolution is I think it's very divisive because the wording is so difficult to understand. So, for example, when I read ending settler colonialism, I don't know exactly what that means. I've heard people say that, well, Jews should never have been in Israel in the first place, and they were colonizing it. So does ending settler colonialism, I just want to use the exact words that are in the resolution, does that mean that we should be not allowing any Jews to live there and they should live somewhere else? I don't know where. There's also people who who read the resolution and think it means Jews should stop killing Palestinians. And then there's people who think it means, no, the Israeli Defense Forces should stop killing Palestinians. And then there are those who want to hear people should learn to get along together. And so I think people hear different things when they read the resolution. It's just very ambiguous. So I think that causes division. In addition, I think the real purpose of this article is hard, a resolution, is hard to understand. Whether it's really about apartheid. We're not talking about other places like, you know, China with the Uyghurs and how they're treated completely differently than other Chinese, the Han Chinese. So we're not calling out other places in the world, but we are calling out Palestine and Palestinians and Israel. And so I feel like if we want to have a resolution about that, about supporting the Palestinians and something about Israel, then we should have a resolution about that. And let's just say that. And I would be probably pretty likely to support that. Also, there's no action in the resolution that I could tell. I don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. Is it supposed to have a budget line that we do certain things, that we research certain things the town should do? Or is it about, you know, it says we the voters? Does that mean like everyone who did Australian ballot and people here? Or is it all individuals now espouse these? I just don't really understand what it means. So that's pretty much my thoughts on why I think this should either be defeated or tabled.
Thank you.
The select board, my name's Patty Brushett, and the select board in a recent meeting said that this is actually a meeting, we're not asking you anything, we're asking you something. So I'm going to turn this around a little bit. Because this is the body that's in charge today, not the select board. And I'd like to just say a few things. One is that there was worry about how we would all conduct ourselves today, and that maybe we shouldn't talk about this because there'd be anger and threats and horrible things would happen in this discussion. And it hasn't happened. What happened in the city council in Burlington didn't happen here. And it's not going to happen because this, you know, we're civil with each other. So I appreciate that, and I thank everyone who has spoken for their civil tone. Since October 7th, 2,039 Israeli people have died. 75,227 Palestinians have died. This isn't working. No one is secure. And this resolution is about putting pressure, I feel, for me, why I'll be voting for it, is it's going to put pressure, hopefully, on the United States government to use its negotiating power, because we provide Israel with $3.8 billion a year. Since 1959, $300 billion for military. That money goes to our military industries in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do indeed. So let's,
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Well, I'll speak to you then. So what I am hopeful about is that I heard Scott Silverstein speak at the select board meeting against this article, and I read his letter in the Times Inc. And I'm very hopeful about the fact that he spoke with other people who had differing views who brought this article, and that he has an amendment that he agrees with, as well as some of the people on, you know, who have brought this article. And so I would hope that people would vote against passing over, if that's the term, when that comes up, so that we can hear that amendment, and hopefully it will make people feel more comfortable about this article. So, you know, let's give this a chance, because if Richmond can come up with agreement between two disparate groups, woohoo, that really is a hopeful thing. That would be a hopeful thing to read in the paper tomorrow, that Richmond was able to come together, because we need to come together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Alexis Latham. We've heard several comments tonight that, why is the town of Richmond going to single out Israel and Palestine when there are so many other global issues? I just want to remind people that it is our federal government that singles out Israel, has a special relationship with Israel that it has unlike with any other country, and that we are giving billions of dollars in support for the atrocities that it is committing against Palestinians. And right now, our government has teamed up with the Israeli Defense Forces in its war against Iran. So this directly affects us. I also want to just reiterate what Patty said, which is that it's been a little frustrating to hear a lot of these comments, because we actually have worked on, I personally have worked on an amendment with Scott Silverstein, because we heard the expressions of fear that came from many of our Jewish neighbors, and we heard that. And even though the language of the resolution itself does not say anything about the Jewish people, it doesn't even say anything about Israel itself. It says something about Israel's system of apartheid. And that's what we're asking the people of Richmond to speak against. So we heard those fears, and so to that end, we have worked on some language we hope will address some of those concerns. And so I just ask that people not table this article, and at least give us a chance to put forward that amended language, and to see that this issue does not have to be divisive, that it can be an occasion for seeing how we can come together on very difficult questions and come to some measure of, at least that we can talk to each other in a civil way. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Jeff Forward. I want to applaud the audience for having this difficult conversation in a respectful and civil way. I, for one, support the article, but particularly, and would not like to see a table, but specifically because we are able to do this in Richmond. We are able to have these difficult conversations respectfully and civilly, and there's the opportunity to come together and have a resolution on this article that most people could support. That's a beautiful thing. That's democracy. And to me, town meeting is one of the most sacred democratic processes that we have in town. It is clearly, by looking around, it's the largest public meeting we have all year. This is where we discuss difficult issues. I am hopeful. I would like to see, and I have a point of order. So right now we have two things on the table here. We have the article and we have the motion to table it. Or
The motion to postpone indefinitely.
Postpone indefinitely.
Correct.
Which will we vote on first?
We will vote that the motion to postpone indefinitely takes precedent.
Okay.
So we vote on that first, and then if it's, and I will explain this again before we get through this, but if it's to postpone indefinitely is an affirmative, then that kills the article. If it does not prevail, then we go back to the main motion, which would be the article, which could then be amendable.
Okay, so we have the opportunity to come up with language that could be amenable to, there are clearly two different sides of this particular issue, and there are people in town who've worked hard on trying to come up with language that's amenable to both. In order to hear that, we have to vote against the motion to postpone, and then get back to the article so that it can be amended, and we could vote as a body to support or.
That is accurate.
Okay, so I hope that that's what would happen, and I do think, well, you know, we're a small player in the big world. You know, Vermont has always punched above its weight, you know, and Richmond has the opportunity to show Vermonters how we can come together better than Burlington and have this discussion in a civil way and come up with a language that is amenable to most people. And isn't that the way it should work? I am in support of the concept of the article, and I'm against the motion to pass over it, to table it, and I hope we get to complete this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Emily Tenenbaum. I just want to say a quick moment here of what we're voting on to table or postpone indefinitely, which I think is the way to go here. Let me just say I'm a mom of 3. I'm raising my kids here, my family here, and I think we are forgetting what it takes to come to a town meeting. It's beautiful. It's Vermont. It's everything. Our kids have off right now. People have jobs. I am so excited to see so many people, and yet there's so many voices and people that are not in the room because of accessibility, inclusivity, all of those things, and because of what people have referenced in terms of people not wanting to speak out. So I sat up in the bleachers not wanting to get up, really hoping I didn't have to get up, but I think what I really want to make sure is there's a safe place to have this kind of conversation, and so that's why I'm voting today to table this indefinitely so that we may come together as a community to break bread, to have community conversations. I am just coming to the table to understand how we came to these words that are being used. I'm trying to still sit with it, and it's very hard in a town meeting when I'm thinking about town budgets and our school and our kids and things I'm used to in a town meeting to do this, and I think the way we can move forward, and I'm willing to put some skin in the game and my time and my action and really come together to do that, because that takes people's time. It's not just words in a proclamation to say we're going to do it. It's saying here today at town meeting, we're going to join together to have these conversations, whether it's over food or coffee or whatever it will be. I just don't think it's really an appropriate use of town meeting time to do that right now in this moment. And I really look forward to discussions because I would like to hear what the amended language is. I just think at town meeting it's a really difficult, hard place to have it, and I want to most importantly make sure it's inclusive, it's equitable, and that people feel safe. There are so many voices not here today on both sides because there's cameras, there's people, there's police. It was really hard to have my daughter even walk in. She said, "Mom, why is there a police officer here?" So I just want to say, like, this is a wonderful Vermont moment, and we need to make sure that there's a safe place to have this conversation. And I stand today because there's so many voices that can't be heard in this moment. So thank you very much, and I hope we vote to table this for an amazing community conversation that we can continue to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a point, our police force is always here at town meeting, so it's not unusual.
Well, I know, but we're bringing our kids here to experience this, and they have a lot of questions. So it takes a lot to be a parent in this space to bring your kids to explain to them voting, to explain to them this proclamation, what it means, and really understand and why people don't feel safe having these conversations in our small town like Richmond and on the world stage. So I think it's really important, and I wish there. Sorry, do you have?
Thank you.
Something to say?
I'm not allowed to say.
Are you done?
I just want to say, like, this is why it's hard for people to get up, because there are a lot of things, and I'd rather not have it under microphone. I'd rather have it in safer, lower stakes conversations to talk with you over breaking bread.
Your comments to me, please. No, right here. Okay. Comments to me, thank you.
Okay. Move to vote. Yeah, we can move to vote now, I guess, because that's the whole point of tabling it, so we don't have to get to this moment.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What is she saying? Move to vote. Are you calling the question?
Yes.
Okay. The question has been called. Is there a second? Plenty of seconds. All those in favor, now debate must cease. on this particular thing here, it requires a 2/3 majority in which to cease debate. So all those in favor of ceasing debate, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The chair is in question. Division of the House. Could I ask the Board of Civil Authority, please, to get in place here? And what we're going to do, folks, let's figure out how we remember where you are in line, okay? If you would return to your seats, because we're going to have people stand for a division of the House. So the question here is to cease debate, okay? This is what we're voting on. So all those in favor of, and this requires 2/3 majority, all those in favor of ceasing debate.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do it that way? The Board of Civil Authority would like you to raise your hand because we got people standing already. So all those in favor of ceasing debate, please so signify by raising your hand and leave it up there. A little bit longer, folks. Hang on. Does the Board of Civil Authority have their number? Okay. Hands can go down. We'll give just a moment here. Okay, you ready for all those opposed to ceasing debate? Please raise your hand. I don't think I have a 2/3. There's not 2/3 there. Thank you, Board of Civil Authority. The votes are as follows. Those in favor of ceasing debate were 66. Those opposed to ceasing debate were 49. Therefore, calling the question as defeated. We will continue with our debate. Those folks that were in line, could you please stand up and reassume your positions? Is there any additional debate? Okay. Did the person that was in front of you, are they still going to talk? Yes, here she comes.
My name is Helene Arnold, and I support Article 3. I think it's very much a local issue, as we can see here today, and we're spending a great deal of our tax dollars supporting a genocide, which we're not supporting a genocide in China for the Uyghurs. I think many have already spoken very clearly and eloquently about why this article is important to support. It's about basic human rights, and it's not a divisive issue. It's one that's bringing us here together for more debate, and that will continue whether the article passes or not, but I'm hoping that it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Bonnie Stoyer. I am, again, just so happy to live in this community because of this civil conversation that we're having. I really, truly appreciate that. I'd like to I don't think it's the intention of the folks that want to table this to just turn a blind eye, but I do have concerns that the excellent ideas about, gee, let's get together and have a community conversation about this, that those things are hard to do and hard to make happen. And I don't want silence on this to be complicity with what's happening. And I, for one, really want to hear this collaborative language that has formed an amendment. I really would like to hear that. And I think if we table this and just move on, that's something that is going to be lost. And I think that there is some true coming together that's happened, and I think we would all benefit from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, David Katz. I don't need to retread a lot of the ground that has been mentioned already for people that are opposed to the article. I think there have been a lot of good points made. For the article, I have not heard any arguments on why this is the appropriate forum for this discussion. Furthermore, I want to point to the language in this specifically, well, I mean, just throughout, but specifically the academic language in the second half of the article. It's the same language that has been used to justify violence against people, Jewish people, around the world and in the United States. That is specifically why I hear other people against the article saying that people are not comfortable getting up here and speaking. That is for good reason. That is a real thing, and I feel it myself. I would like to see community dialogue happen, and I would like to see it happen outside of this venue, but I don't understand what the mechanisms of town government have anything to do on this topic, and the vague language, I think, just proves that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Morning, everyone. Rusty Charpentier. I just want to, when I think about this very complicated and difficult issue, I first back up and think about what is a pledge and how does that fit into what we're doing here. I think of pledges as traditionally like the Pledge of Allegiance. You pledge yourself to an ideal, not necessarily a specific issue. Liberty or justice, these ideals that we pledge ourselves to are different than what I think is the context of this thing. And while I have a ton of compassion for the situation of people who are in these horrible situations, and while I personally feel a great deal of sorrow around this issue, to me, it does not make sense from a standpoint of making a pledge, especially when I think a pledge is a singular thing. I pledge to this. You pledge to a group. You pledge might be to a fraternity. Making a pledge in someone else's name for them through vote, and that doesn't seem like structurally a wise thing to do to me. So backing away from the content of this pledge, I don't know if there's ever been a pledge in Richmond before. I just don't know that the idea of a pledge is a great thing. So I'd encourage those of you to that have strong emotions about this issue, like I'm with you. I just think that maybe we need to explore other avenues for acting and making a difference in the world than a pledge that many, we got a majority apparently here just want to end this discussion. And it sounds like we should continue having these discussions in other forums, that we can talk about this, that we can act on this. There's ways we could, maybe have some community action to raise some funds around this so that the people who feel passionately have an outlet for creating change while we don't alienate and divide our community unnecessarily, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Can you hear me? Denise Noble. This is a complicated issue, and I thank everybody, and thank you guys for the time and space and a safe and brave space here. I am involved with Richmond Racial Equity, and I guess the only thing I would like to say is I am grateful that we are in a country right now where we can share our opinions and we can have dialogue together and we can have uncomfortable conversation. I know a lot of people shy away from that, and that's what we need to do. We need to be able to have the uncomfortable conversation. I feel like the motion, and I understand that I do not have lived experience as a Jewish person. I do not have lived experience as a Palestinian. I have white skin, so I cannot relate to a lot of people who are oppressed. I'm a woman, so I have that little piece, but so I don't want to devalue anything that has been stated. I would recommend, I guess I'm going to vote to allow the amendment to be debated and to vote down the motion, because I feel like we need the opportunity to discuss, and as many people have said, there has been work to amend the language, and I feel like it's important for that discussion to continue, regardless of what happens with the resolution, if it passes or not. I would also like to see more happen so that we can have the continued conversation, so we can work together, because only by working together do we create a world where there is more love, there is more compassion, we understand each other, we see each other as human beings. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I can't adjust this. My name is Molly Lonnie. I've been a Richmond resident for 6 years, something like that. And this article is really important to me. I am not Palestinian and I am not Jewish, but I do pay taxes. And as many people have said, our money is going to fund a really terrible, terrible genocide. So that does make this a local issue. I know a lot of people are feeling like there are folks left out of this conversation, and that is really unfortunate. But I echo what someone else said, which is that, you know, we don't have a lot of other opportunities for these kinds of discussions. And I think it would be a missed opportunity to not continue to have this discussion today and to continue to bring this vote forward, because I don't see that happening in any other capacity, and we can still continue to have these conversations after the vote as well. This is not a one and done situation, because as it was mentioned, a pledge does require some action, and there needs to be more discussion about what happens after this. So this is a jumping off point, this is not an end point, and so I really encourage people to think about what comes next and how we're going to continue to come together as a town to discuss this, and to make the pledge an actual tangible action point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I guess you'll be able to hear me regardless of the...
Yeah, get really close to the microphone.
Sure.
There you
Chelsea Brooks. So I just want to speak to this item. It's been said that Israel isn't mentioned in the pledge. It clearly is. I think that also saying that this discussion here at town meeting today brings together two disparate groups. I don't know the intent of that, but to me, that is implying that Jewish residents here in Richmond are somehow against this pledge, and by being against this pledge, you're anti-Palestinian. And I don't think that's the case. I think that everyone speaking today has been pretty clear on that this is not about sort of the lack of support for this pledge is not about them being anti-Palestinian. It's about fear for themselves and their families and their safety and their community here in Richmond. I think that I agree with someone earlier who mentioned that this is conflating Jewish people with the acts of Israel. And whether that is intentional or unintentional is debatable. At a select board meeting, it was said that Jewish people in Israel need to do something. They need to stand up against their government. And that's a big ask. I don't know what was meant by that. I can't pretend to understand what that person meant when they said that. But oftentimes, impact of our words and the things we say are greater than the intent of what you meant. And the impact of that is that saying that if you are Jewish in Israel, you need to stand up and make a difference, again, sort of has this underlying implication that Jewish people are complacent in what is happening and therefore somehow anti-Palestinian. I think that we need to be careful of unintended consequences. When things are nuanced and heated, perhaps things get said that weren't meant, and that impact versus intent falls into these negative sort of consequences for our Jewish neighbors, and I want to be thoughtful of that. I'm personally thankful to have had this brought up. I look forward to learning ways in which I can personally make a difference here. Scott talking about bread for peace. If we all bought bread, what would that do to his $11,000 line item, right? And so I personally would like to hear what this amendment is, because hopefully if Jewish members of our community have worked on it and people who have worked on this pledge have also worked on it, in theory, right, we're coming to a common middle ground, and I certainly don't want that to be silenced, while also recognizing and respecting all of our neighbors. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I'm saving a spot for someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're just, hang on, folks, we're just having a little problem with a remote mic.
Does this
Go ahead.
work? Okay. My name is Connie Carpenter. I live on Main Street. I've been here 16 years. I have absolutely no idea why this article was on the agenda at all. It has nothing to do with village, town, business. It is a definite social issue. It definitely needs input. It definitely needs conversation, but this is not the body. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes. Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Moderator. My name's John Cart. I've been a citizen here for 20-something years. I'm a Jew. I have read the article many times over. I've been annoyed with the fact that the pledge line is only about Israel. I certainly support the oath or the other elements of it, and I've wrestled with that last line. At the same time, I'm also concerned about possible backlashes and misinterpretations of this, as opposed to with the rise of anti-Semitism. But when I think about that, I think about not just Jews, but all Semites, Arabs too, and the fact that that's a growing problem. Most importantly, what the current discussion brings up is Isaac Asimov's line that any book worth banning is a book worth reading. We've been talking for the last 45 minutes or so about the ability to talk about this. That is not democracy. That is trying to just shut things down and prevent people from actually working together. I'll try it again. I'll call the question.
Okay, the question has been called. Is there a second to calling the question? There is a second. All those in favor of calling the question or ceasing debate, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. Is there a challenge to the chair? Seeing none, the ayes do have it. and we are ceasing debate on this portion of the article. All right, folks, let me remind you where we are. We have ceased debate on the merits of the question. And what we're voting on now is a motion on the article. A motion is to postpone indefinitely. So this can only be applied to the main motion, and that's what we're talking about here. So I will repeat the main motion in a second. But it requires a majority to postpone indefinitely, okay? A majority to postpone indefinitely. If the article, if the postponing indefinitely carries the day, then we're done with the article. If it doesn't carry and it fails, then we're back to the main motion. Excuse me, the main article. Is everyone clear on that? Excellent. An excellent point, something I brought up earlier, but let me restate that. When we postpone indefinitely, that means that it could be added to a future town meeting or some town gathering if the select board chose to do so. So for this round anyways, if you voted to postpone indefinitely, it would be tabled until it was warned appropriately again. Thank you. Okay, are you ready for the question? Yes. I understand, but I want to make sure there's clarity. Okay. Let me read the article. Article 3, shall the voters of the Town of Richmond adopt the following pledge? We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and for all people, and we oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation. That is the article, and we are voting in which to postpone indefinitely. There is a request for a paper ballot. Are there 7 other members that would like to see a paper ballot? Let me just see hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7. Okay. There is, and according to Vermont state law, a paper ballot can be had if we have 7 or more voters that want the ballot. Therefore, we will have the ballot. And the good news is, folks, the Board of Civil Authority has practiced this, and we are prepared in which to have a ballot. Now, so the vote on the postponing indefinitely, if you vote yes to postpone indefinitely, that means we're killing the article. If you vote no, that means the article can come back and be considered, okay? And the Board of Civil Authority, Marshall, where's the chair? There he is. Marshall would like you, please correct me if I'm wrong since I have the speaker. You would like the residents in which to line up in front of the bleachers. We're going to hold this in the back, folks. We have a whole separate area for the paper ballot with ballot clerks and whatnot in which to take you. So please line up, and the justice or the Board of Civil Authority will direct you to the right table. And feel free in which to have conversations and whatnot, and we'll come back. We'll come back shortly. Folks, just a message from our Board of Civil Authority. While you're standing in line, remember that the official polls for voting on an Australian ballot are still open if you desire in which to do that. Okay? Just to make good use of your time. Okay, folks, listen up. This is the last call for voting on postponing indefinitely. Now would be the time that election workers could do their thing, and anybody that hasn't voted. Last call. Thank you. Okay, folks, just so you know, voting is now closed. The Board of Civil Authority will now begin to count the ballots. Thank you. Okay, folks, can we come back to order? Please take your seats. The Board of Civil Authority has counted the ballots.
Don't do anything. So they stopped even doing anything. They weren't going to spend any money anyway, unless they got funding, but whatever. All right.
We'll just let our select board get set. Okay, thank you for your patience during this democratic process. And I'll remind you that we were voting on whether or not to postpone Article 3 indefinitely. And the results are as follow. 74 people had voted to postpone indefinitely in affirmative, and 64 voted in the negative. So the article is now postponed indefinitely, and we will move on to Article 4. Article 4, to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. And unless there is an objection to this, I would like, unless there's an objection, I'd like to go to, we can discuss Australian balloted items. So unless there's an objection, I'd like to move to Article 5 and see if there's any discussion and so on. Is there an objection to that? There is an objection?
This is other business right now?
I'm sorry, what was that?
This is Patty Brushett. Is this other business where I could bring something to
Yeah, there
Okay.
is. If you, so Article 4 was the next article, and I simply was asking if there was an objection that we could
So I
jump,
I
that we
object.
could jump to these other articles and then come back to Article 4, but you object to that.
I object because I have an article I think 100% of the people will vote for.
Okay, all right. The objection is sustained.
Okay, I would like to put it out that we're missing a lot of young people here today because unlike when I was young and had children, there was daycare. There is no daycare. So I would like to make a proposal. Shall the voters of Richmond require the select board to provide daycare for town meetings?
Okay, and this is a non-binding
Yep.
situation, but you're going to get a sense of what the voters want to do.
Yeah.
So there is a non-binding resolution to direct the select board in which to think about
To provide daycare
to
for
provide daycare during town meeting. Okay?
Yeah.
Very good. That's a motion. Is there a second to that? There is seconds. Is there any discussion on having the select board provide daycare themselves? No. Is there a discussion on that particular resolution? Yes, ma'am. Do you want to use this microphone? That would be easier for you.
Bonnie Stoyer. Patty beat me to it. I wanted to actually raise the exact same thing. I mentioned it briefly in line over here to Josh. Been thinking about it. This absolutely used to be done even up until a few years ago. I think that there could be a line item in the town budget that could allocate some funds for a licensed care provider. And then our high school students have to do community service. It's part of what they do, and to graduate, and we could recruit high school students to help the licensed provider in providing care right where they used to do it, in the home ec room, right over there.
That's kind of how it used to happen, but any other discussion on the resolution? Yes, ma'am.
June Heston. I also think that this is a great way to involve our community cares camp to help with this, and it would make town meeting a little bit more inclusive.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Molly Lonnie. This is the first time I've actually come to town meeting because my kids are finally old enough that we can leave them for a little
Welcome.
bit.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was able to get my husband to run up here for this last vote because he was down there trying to work and manage children at the same time. It would be awesome if we had childcare. And we also have so many resources already connected to the school system that, you know, we've got Part 2, we have the Mr. G stuff, the community cares camp that was just mentioned. Like, I think there's so many opportunities that could be kind of brought in to piece something together. I don't think it would be difficult at all. So very in support.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, the resolution, as I recall it, is have the select board provide child care to the next town meeting. All those in favor so signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. Select board, you have a sense. Okay. Now I'm wondering if unless there's an objection, is another objection? Okay, very good. Marie, go ahead.
Marie Thomas, I just had something I wanted to like Patty, and I'm not going to be able to stay for the next, 2 hours to, debate all the individual things. Well, but yeah. Anyways, and since we don't have the Grange here anymore for lunch, I've been coming to town meetings for, more than 30 years, although I've missed a couple recently. And there's been a lot of changes and a lot of talk about this and that and the other thing. And I've just been watching the budgets over the years, and somebody will come up and they have a great idea, like let's have the town provide, which is going to be a line item, which is going to cost money, or let's do this. Oh, that's a really good thing. Let's put a little money towards that, or let's put a little bit. It's now that I'm retired and on a fixed income, I understand what people have been complaining about all these years is that the budgets just keep going up and up and up and up and up. And of course, one solution would be if we had single-payer health care, then the health care costs would, which is a big part of the budgets for both the school and that would, be held differently. But I keep seeing all these things, and I'm going through the budget and going through all the articles, and all these things are good and worthy projects. I have a question. What does 1 cent on the tax rate bring in these days? It used to be $38,000. What does it bring in now?
It's about $80,000 based on...
What? I can't hear you.
About $80,000 based on the grand list.
$80,000. Okay. 1 cent. So I see you want 1 cent for the conservation fund, which we've been doing now for 15, 20 years, the conservation fund. And then you want another 1 cent for town center rehab. And then all these other good things. But all these little things add up. It's like, you want to subscribe to these different apps on your thing, and it ends up being more than what cable was. And they add up, those things, and it's really hard for seniors. So I had a suggestion here, a resolution that and this is not a criticism. I think you guys, the select board, over the years have had very big hearts, and they want to do the best thing for all the people that come in and have a good explanation for why they want to do something, why they want to do conservation, or why they want to feed kids, or why they want all very good things. And all of the articles that are coming up, those are all very, very good things that a lot of people don't even know how COTS runs or how the Lund Center runs or anything else. So it's hard to make a decision, and it's hard to know really how that goes. So my resolution is that the Richmond Select Board shall consider alternatives to the annual charity giving by, 1, either adding 1 cent to the taxes that shall be split between all charitable events, including conservation, recreation, seniors, and any other things that come in. Because now we're adding $80,000 a year to the conservation fund, and we've been doing stuff, like I said, for 15,000 years. Or 2, make giving optional on the annual taxes, like the state does. When you fill out your state taxes, or in the federal taxes, you want to contribute to, the wildlife fund, or to this fund or that fund. Because in this town, we've gentrified a lot over the last 30 years. And there are some people who can afford, it's just 1 cent on my taxes, I can afford that. But there's a lot of people who can't afford that. So if you had, like on the taxes, you had these little checkoff boxes like, yeah, I'll give, $20 towards this or $50 towards that or whatever. Let people self-tax themselves according to their abilities rather than this way. That, I know when the cheese factory left us many years ago, a whole bunch of people had to move out of town because the water rates like quadrupled the first year. And people just couldn't afford it anymore. And, there's a lot of crazy things going on in our country right now. So I think, supporting all these different things are great, but I think that also it would be nice if people could contribute according to their ability to contribute. So my resolution would be that, and I've got it written down because I thought
could
that
you please bring
resolutions had to be written just to be
Please bring
submitted.
that forward so we can read it.
Yeah. If anybody can read my handwriting. But that's my resolution, is that you look for alternatives that don't keep adding on another cent, another half cent. And I noticed that some things that used to be on the charity thing got moved into the regular budget, like there's $350 for the Halloween on the Green, which I didn't think even happened last year and may not have, lost sort of its things. And like koozies been moved to the police budget instead of being so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the budget that, people might not support or might not be able to support. So that's my resolution.
I'll try to digest this in a form. Resolve, the Richmond Select Board shall consider alternatives to annual charity giving by adding 1 cent to the taxes that shall be split between all charitable events, including conservation, recreation, 4th of July, seniors, Hale and Hardy, and other such things. And or to make giving optional on annual taxes like the state does for Wildlife Fund. Is there a second on the resolution? There seems to be a second to pass. Okay. Any further discussion on a resolution? Yes, sir. You can, there's a microphone right back there, Rick.
Rick Barrett. I have a question, 2 questions.
Please state your name.
Rick Barrett.
Thank you.
This cannot apply to the 2026 budget, I'm guessing. We would have.
Well, this is non-binding in general, right?
Okay, non-binding.
Right? This is other business.
And then the second point I want to make is I'm opposed to this resolution. It defeats the whole concept of line items. If you lump everything into the 1%, you're going to decrease the monies going to the Conservation Fund, and you've lost an itemized accounting for all of the other charities. So I oppose this
Thank you.
resolution.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor of this resolution so signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The noes seem to have it. The noes do have it. Did you all get a sense? Okay. It's now the moderator's purview, which now that we're under other business, I would like, oh no, he's gone. He was sitting right there. Where did our police chief go? Okay, you go get him. Okay. Unless there's an objection, I'm going to just go over the, here he is now. Folks, I would like to just take this opportunity to introduce our interim chief, Matt Cohen, and his buddy Duke.
Hey everyone, I gotta get closer. Hey everybody. So my name is Matt Cohen. I am your chief of police here in Richmond. I want to say hi and everyone see me and say hi. Our department is in a stage of rebuilding. I don't know if you guys have heard, but we've hired 1 new officer. It started a couple weeks ago. We have another one starting this Thursday. So we are going to get our force back up and running, which will give you guys better services in town and better coverage. As we go through that process, please, if you see one of my officers out there, say hello, introduce yourselves. I want them to be part of your community. I want to be part of your community as well. If you see me out and about, introduce yourself. I try not to be inside our office very often because we are also out on patrol, and myself as a chief is on patrol for you guys. So I try to only be in the office when I need to be. But that doesn't mean I don't mind meeting somebody. If you guys call ahead of time or call when we're on duty, call up and say, hey, can you meet? I'm more than happy to swing back to the office and meet you if we're available. So if you guys want to see me, talk to me about any concerns you guys have, please feel free to do so. Call up. Email is actually one of my best ways to get a hold of me. I check that probably more often than anything else. It's Matthew, MATTHEW, .Cohen, COHEN, @Vermont, which is all spelled out, .gov. So if you guys need me, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me outside of dispatch. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you for welcoming me into your community. I've been here now a little over a year and a half. So you guys have been really welcoming, really supportive. I appreciate that. And I also want to welcome our new officers as they come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Notice that I didn't have him direct his comments to the moderator. I felt it was appropriate in which to have him talk to you all. Okay, now, unless there's an objection, I would ask that we just cover these Australian ballots however long you want to. Again, because of state law, we can have that discussion. Yes, it's all on Australian ballot, but if there's questions or comments that are germane to the article, we can certainly entertain them. So I would just, and we can come back to Article 4 after we get done this, but I would just indicate that I'm going to ask for a motion to put on the floor, and then if there's any discussion, and we can just kind of do that informally. Article 5, to elect school and town officers. That one is not discussable, excuse me. Article 6, shall the voters of the town of Richmond approve a budget of $5,955,969 to meet expenses and liabilities of the town of Richmond for the fiscal year 2027. I'd entertain a motion to have a discussion if you wish. Is there a motion to discuss? Nobody wants to talk about it. Josh, you must have done a good job in all your presentations. All right, no motion to discuss that. Article 7, shall the voters of the town of Richmond, as required under 24 VSA 4385, adopt the 2026 Richmond Town Plan? Is there a motion in which to discuss Article 7? No desired motion there. Okay, everybody watch that presentation. Excellent. Article 8, shall the voters of the town of Richmond approve funding for the Conservation Reserve Fund by adding 1 cent to the municipal tax rate in the fiscal year 2027? Is there a motion to have any discussion on Article 8? Yes, there's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second. Okay. Then we can have a discussion. Since you are the maker of the motion, sir, you may speak first. There's a microphone right behind you.
Tom Carpenter. So my question is, or discussion, you've got a penny for the Conservation Fund, a penny for the Town Center Fund, and all these donations. So if all these pass, our taxes will go up like 3% more than what they're telling us right now, maybe 4% more, because none of that money is in the budget yet. Correct?
Josh, do you want to take a shot at that?
So I'm looking for the exact number, but that is correct. The proposed tax rate increase right now with just the budget, I think is 3.98% over last year's budget. Anything that's added to that would be additional increase, whether that's the Town Center Fund, the Conservation Fund, or any of the charitable appropriations.
That's accurate. Any other discussion on Article 8? Seeing none? Oh, we have one. There you go.
Hello?
There you are.
Matt Thompson. I have a question. Do we have any feedback or information about utilization of the services that we're funding? For example, are some maybe more heavily utilized than we're funding, or some being underutilized?
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Moderator, that might get into articles beyond Conservation Reserve Fund. I think your question is about the individual charitable appropriations. So I'm happy to answer that now, or we can wait till we get to the individual
I see.
appropriations.
I'm sorry,
Do you want to
I
stick
missed
with
that. I thought it-
conservation for right now?
Yeah, we're sticking to conservation. Yes, I'm sorry. I missed that, Josh. Any other questions of comments around Article 8 about the Conservation Reserve Fund? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to cease discussion. Cease. Very good. Thank you. Article 9. I don't need a second on that. Article 9. Shall the voters of the Town of Richmond approve funding for the Town Center Reserve Fund by adding 1 cent to the municipal tax rate in the fiscal year 2027? Is there any desire to discuss this? I need a motion in which to have it discussed. Seeing no such motion, thank you. Article 10 through 18 are our charitable contribution articles, and a couple of years ago we were directed in which to put those on Australian ballot. They used to be voted on the floor, but now they're all voted on by Australian ballot. And I think, not going through each one of them, if anyone has a question on a certain article from 10 to 18, I'll entertain a motion in which to discuss that, and maybe this is appropriate in which to discuss now, Josh, since we already kind of had somebody that wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, so the question about how many Richmond residents each one of these appropriations serves, each charitable appropriation request is submitted in writing to the Select Board. We discussed that at the first meeting in October for the budget, and those are all posted online. So there is a complete packet from each individual appropriation. You can read through, find out how much our total budget is, how much they're requesting from Richmond, how many Richmond residents they serve. So if you look online, if you want to do that today, you can look under I think it's under the town clerk's page where you get to the town meeting, and there's links from each individual article to their request.
So that's fully transparent. You can click on the links and take a look at that if you desire. Any other questions on the charitable contribution articles? Okay, seeing none, and thank you for allowing me to skip here a little bit. We're now back to Article 4, to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. And again, these are articles, these are resolutions, statements and whatnot that are not binding, but we can certainly have a discussion on anything else under Article 4. Is there any such desire in which to have discussion under Article 4? Seeing none, I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn. But before I do that, there's a little housekeeping things that happen. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the Scouts of America from Troop 23 for running the microphones and and doing the colors. Did you guys get a little bit of a view of what democracy is all about? Yeah? Okay, cool. Good. Okay. And I would also ask, is there anything else that you guys want to mention? Go ahead.
I think we didn't, maybe we didn't adequately introduce Duke.
We did, I think we did.
Yeah?
I didn't hear that.
Did we introduce Duke in person? Duke is the dog.
Yeah, well, I did say his buddy Duke. Okay. Cool. So before I ask for a motion of adjournment, I would ask the remainder of all you folks if you wouldn't mind help picking up the chairs and see Mike over there in the back. He'll kind of direct you to things, but that makes it so much easier on everyone else if everybody kind of picks up their chairs. So now I will entertain a motion in which to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second? There is a second. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. We are adjourned.
1 o'clock, called it. You nailed it, right?
Oh, my goodness.